Welcome everyone to the IPVM cabling calculator live stream. My name is Sean Patton. I will be your host for today. This is going to be a relatively informal session where we take a look at the new cabling feature that we added to the camera calculator. And we're going to look at the new features. We're going to look at maybe some additional development that we're working on. A big portion of it is definitely going to be related to question and answer. So, you have the more questions you have, throw those into chat and we can address them, in real time. So let's get started. So ultimately, the end goal of where we want to get with the camera calculator, and historically, where we've gone to is a simple design system where you can add your cameras in, you can see the field of view. If you select a camera, you can get things like simulated person, simulated views. You can load your own scenes into here. But one of the features that was historically missing was being able to connect or define where the cables are going to connect from the camera to the network closet. So we recently released this new feature called network cabling, or called cabling. And this allows you to create a network closet and then connect those cables automatically to your different cameras and get the distances for those. You can create multiple closet, your cable path, everything. You can define that as part of your system design so that you have a more complete design. Whereas, we previously did a really good job having over 11,000 camera models available in the calculator. We added features like our repositional multi-imagers, where you can select a single camera model and have multiple imagers underneath. And we added, a feature like walls last year, where now we can have our design that much more accurate by creating and defining walls where the camera's field of view cannot see on the other side, to both clean up drawings and make them more efficient, as well as make them more accurate. So this next step, looking at adding in cabling, was sort of the next natural extension that we have looking at the system. So we're going to start off with a new project. So I'm going to create a new project here. This is actually our headquarters in Pennsylvania, in Bethlehem. And so we're going to start to add in some cameras, and do that in the upper left-hand corner just by hitting add camera. And we'll do a little bit of a design here. Just try to get some exterior coverage. I can grab and move the camera field of view to get the coverage that we're looking for. I'll maybe point this one back in this direction, add another camera here. I'm going to look out from the corner. And maybe we'll add one more camera that looks right at the driveway entrance coming in. We want to make sure we capture any vehicles that are coming in here. So we have our camera layout, and traditionally we've offered this capability, and you could actually do, up to these 4 cameras. If I removed one of these, you could do up to 4 cameras for free. There's no cost to use a calculator, so anybody could get sort of the idea of how the system works. Now, if you want to do some of the more advanced things like we have, like sharing projects, saving the projects, exporting them, really just saving and exporting, or saving and sharing, you did have to have a subscription to IPVM, or, certainly if you wanted more than 4 cameras, then you would need that subscription. But ultimately, what I'm showing here, a lot of this was even supported for free in the camera calculator. So now if we have these cameras, and ultimately we want to see how much cable do we need to complete this project. What we can do now is there's a new panel underneath simulated person called cabling, and it's going to tell us if we don't have a network closet created, the first thing we have to do is create a network closet. So we can click on this button here. It's going to direct us over to the upper left-hand corner. Under the More menu is our network closets. We can hit More, Network Closet, and now it's going to place our network closet on the Google map. And from there, you can, just like any other object in the calculator, you can move it around and locate it wherever that network closet is going to be. So in this case, I'm going to move it over to here. Let's just say it's going to be in this corner office right here. So now I can connect my cameras to the closet. There's two methods for doing this. If I click on the camera, it would be under the cabling section. That button is now changed to connect to network closet 1. So I can click there and it's going to do a straight line connection automatically to the network closet. And you saw there's a little tool tip that pops up that says if you want to basically move this, all you have to do is drag and drop this little bullet and that will create a new junction there. And so you can move and customize exactly with, for what your cable run is going to look like out to that camera. And so we can do this for multiple cameras. I can, again, on the lower right-hand corner in the cabling panel, I can connect to the network closet. Now, when you have the camera selected and you have a cable created for it, you can only see the network connection, the cable for that selected camera. The cable will only show up for each camera you've highlighted. If you want to view all the cables, if you select the network closet, then all of the cables that are associated with that closet are going to be displayed. Now, as I mentioned, there's a couple ways you can cable your cameras. You're going to, if you come to the closet side, we can click on this button that says draw cabling to camera. And so we can hit this, click here. It's going to change it to basically like a target, a drawing cursor, and then it'll automatically snap to a camera as it approaches it. Now we have a camera here that is already cabled, and it'll tell us that this camera is already cabled to network closet 1. So it won't let me cable that one. So I can click here, and now that network camera is cabled. Come back here. I'm going to draw another cable path, and we're going to say, all right, this one, we've got our cable tray that goes up this part of the building. So we're just going to follow along that path and then branch off maybe over to that location. And then lastly, we're going to come out here, down here, and then over and snap to that camera. So now that we have all of our devices cabled, the option will switch to where we can no longer cable any more devices from the closet. As soon as we add in another camera, now that option will change. Let's say we put another one over here to look at this part of the driveway. We go to our network closet, and now we can draw the cabling to that camera, or again, go right to here and cable that connection. So that's at the fundamental level of how you will cable in devices in the camera calculator. Are there any questions right now? Did anything come up as I ran through that process that maybe didn't make sense, or something you would like me to repeat before we go any further looking at the cabling calculator? It seems pretty quiet in chat. While you guys are thinking or coming up with questions. So this still supports all the standard features that we've had in the camera calculator for, historically have offered, different cable colors or camera colors, and the cable colors will be reflected in the color of the camera. And if we look at this, we can also change our closet color as well, but that is just the closet. The cable color will always be associated with the camera color for identification purposes. Okay, Bob asks in chat, any way to show PoE switches? So that is something we will be looking to add in a cabling or network support feature on our roadmap. We have things on our roadmap such as point-to-point wireless connections, because those are pretty relatively common in the video surveillance space. PoE switches, even just generic switches in terms of an 8-port, a 16-port, 32-port switch, etc. That is something that we are going to be adding to the calculator for sure, Bob. But currently at launch, what we are just showing is the cable devices per closet and the total length of cable. What if you have some cameras on a pole and not the other? Can you adjust the meter? So one of the things we do offer, there's 2 ways to tackle that. But one of the other features that we offer is there is a total service loop per cable that's essentially added to the ends combined of the cables. So at the end of the horizontal run, we're just adding in the that extra cable loop. And so right now the default is 20 feet or 6 meters, depending on where you are. And so this distance here, let's say if we look at this camera here, this length of 145 actually includes that additional 20 feet. So we are estimating that there's a, however you want to break it down, there's 10 feet of service loop at the closet end and 10 feet of service loop at the camera end. Or if you need more than that, or you would expect more than that, then you can go to the closet end. And let's say this needs to be 30 feet. And so it'll then add 30 feet across the board to all of your cameras. It is a global setting, a per closet global setting at this point that it adds it per cable. We don't have an option, or we don't offer an option to be able to add that on a per device basis. So you'd have to basically, potentially in that case, Jan, you would have to sort of figure that out either by increasing this number across the board or figuring, okay, we're going to put it to 25. We know we'll have extra at some level and we'll be good. Could you just use the closet tool to emulate switches for now? I suppose you could just create a closet. And let's say, you have an 8-port closet and you're going to add in, or an 8-port switch that you're going to use. You could just add in your 8 cameras, connect those to your closet, and then add in a second closet, which you would sort of simulate as, if we add 2 more cameras, those are going to connect to the next one. So we'll add a couple more cameras in. So that is certainly not a bad sort of use case or thought there, Bob. It's definitely not something that we definitely sort of thought about when we were putting this design in place. But you could then take this closet and draw your cabling for the next closet and have this effectively be switched to. It's going to still be sort of listed, from the calculator standpoint, associated as a network closet. But yeah, I suppose that's a pretty good workaround if that helps you sort of visualize the project a little bit better. So good question, Bob. And it's good. I mentioned earlier, we do have Seth, our lead calculator developer, in chat and listening in. So that's something that, definitely as we look at support and whatever, that's a workaround that we can consider sharing with other people and then seeing how we maybe combine that with something going forward. So yep. No, great feedback, Bob. And so again, now we have our project, we have our cables that are defined out to each one of the cameras. And so now we have a more sort of complete design and complete project that we can look at our total cable length. Now, one of the things to note right now, we only support total cable length per closet in this case. So you would have to add up if you had 5, 6, 25 closets to consider. We don't offer a total cable length globally per project. It is broken down per closet, but we could export this project now. I'll do it as a PowerPoint. and now share that project. The exports have been updated as well, so that when we look at the design, everything sort of at the start of the project is going to be similar, where we get our project overview. Let's open this up. And we're going to get all of our individual camera pages. So we've got our project overview, name, overview, and then each camera, it's going to have the cable calculation included on the export page. So it's going to say which, in this case, we named it switch 1, but it's going to have the closet information and the link, and that's going to be for each camera. And then lastly, at the end, there's going to be a per network closet. Again, a little confusing here because I called it switch 1, but per network closet, that's going to have the cable devices, the links, camera names, etc., that are listed for each closet. So again, this could be shared. Cable paths, etc., are all drawn out just as they were when you have that network closet selected, for installation. So again, good details to be shared with installers, with the customer. We also provide those details on our CSV export in terms of connected devices, cable links, etc. So where we've historically always offered this upper section here with the individual camera information, we did also include a couple columns here that have in cable length and what network closet they're connected to. And then there's also a network closet summary where each of the cameras that are associated with each closet are listed out after that. And then even each cable specifically from each camera, which one. So this is kind of just the upper information. We just broke that out separately in the cables section as well. So all around, we are going to be looking at updating the exports in general to be a little bit of a cleaner bill of material, a little bit more a selection of sales focused versus installer focused types of exports, but we did at least include all the details related to cabling within the current export structure. And of course, this can also be accessed in our mobile calculator. So in our phone calculator, you can pull up the calculator on your phone. And this is sort of fully responsive to the system. Enter address. Let me do this 377. You can always enter this in as Beth MPA. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. Whatever. So we can also do this as well. You can have all this detail. You can go to cabling, add your network closet. So while you're on site doing a walkthrough and you're laying out your cameras on your phone, you can also add in all of your cable connections right through the phone interface. It's a little bit wonky, just in a skinny browser on my computer. But yeah, that can all be added in the phone calculator as well. So that's the general idea, just jumping back to, so that's sort of how you go from an initial project, a basic project, to then having, a lot more complexity, drawing in features like walls, having your closets, well-defined. If you need to move a closet, so one of the things, it is like fully dynamic. So if I drag and drop, let's say my original design said the closet was going to be here, and then something came through in construction, and now I have to move this closet over to here, we can just drag and drop. Now, you can see here, a lot of these were just sort of direct connected. And just in case it wasn't clear, you can, just drag and drop these bullets as you need them to align your cable to where it needs to go. This one looks like it wasn't even cabled up. So as you have cable paths that maybe go down through the hallway. You can drag and move these to try and follow maybe as accurately as possible where your cable path might be. This one may connect directly in, but you might have ones down at the end of this hallway here where it's not going to connect directly in. And it may, you may even have a better path to come down this hallway and have the cable path go in there. This one maybe goes in through that side. So all of these things can be adjusted after the fact and defined, where you need that cable path to actually transverse over to the closet. And then some of the other features that we maybe haven't talked about recently, but become maybe a little bit more applicable as we look at things like the cabling calculator, is we can turn off our field of view. So for someone who's doing cabling, if you want to do an export without those field of view selections, this can be a lot cleaner to be able to maybe lay out our cable path without having to worry about the camera field of view. I can even adjust these walls to maybe make them a little bit more accurate where they need to go. And so you can access that under the project options. So you can have it turned on for just the selected camera. So if I click on one camera, then I can see that selected camera, or all of our cameras, that's the default. Or again, especially if you're doing cabling, turning on this, show views from none can be pretty valuable option to be able to make sure that you have sort of the best visibility to make sure the system can be laid out the way that you want it to be. So we can go here, maybe drag this way and say, yeah, our cable path is best going down that part of the hallway. So again, that can be something that may be of interest or of more use to someone who's interested in cabling. So now we can go export, and we're going to re-export this. And I believe this should carry over. Seth could be panicking right now that this option isn't going to be what shows up. But let's just take a quick look here. And now we can see, because we have them turned off, we don't get to see any of the fields of view, but it is a little bit cleaner. It's going to show that cable path, which again, could also be important if we're looking at our network closet design and we want to get a good look at what our overall cable path is going to look like. And that might even be an option now that I'm thinking about it, and with you here, Seth, maybe something we look at for only on the cabling export. We just have the camera fields of view turned off by default for just this view, because I think that could be a little bit cleaner and more useful when we're looking at the cabling export. Okay. Any other questions in chat? I have a couple more things we might look at, but if we don't get a lot of questions that come in, we certainly don't need to take everyone's full hour. The last thing we're going to do is take a tiny, quick little preview at sort of some of the next development of what's coming in the calculator, but yeah, we won't spend too much time and hype that too much at this point. Really, the idea here was just to go over questions and answers, thoughts, feedback related to the cabling feature in the calculator. Just a quick feedback for everybody in chat. Has anyone here used the cabling feature yet? Did you even know we had the cabling feature before you signed up for the webinar? And what other maybe thoughts or features, issues would you have with it? And also, what were you using prior to maybe using the using what we have in the calculator? Were you using Visio? Were you just using AutoCAD? Were you doing doing anything related to that. In the calculator, is there any way to specify camera height when not using 360 cameras? So you can define camera height in the blind spot panel. And this is where we're going to have camera height, tilt, and scene height. So if we know this is maybe a camera in our warehouse that has 15-foot ceilings, you can define it as 15 foot. And we're going to say, well, at the far end of my warehouse, I only need to see somebody that's 6 feet tall. So I'm going to set that to 6, and that's going to define where the tilt and the blind spot is. Okay, a couple people that have, or one person, couple of people that have used it. Can you resize the IDF icon? Good question. You cannot currently do that, but that's something that I think we can look at it, an option for, because we do have that option as it comes to, or it pertains to labels. We do have the option to scale or adjust the size of labels. So that might be something we could take a similar approach to resizing the IDF icon, but right now, no, there is no way to do it. Curious about the initial image sizing when uploading a map or image. Guessing that's covered in the tutorial. So it is, and just to be clear, all of these base floor plan or these base images are, this is right from Google Maps. So everything is auto scaled based on the Google API. If we're talking about specific floor plans, I can show for sure. I can try to find a floor plan to upload. Okay. Floor plan. Okay, so I have my floor plan. In this case, it's a JPEG image. I'm going to upload it. It's effectively the same floor plan that I already have on here. So I'll just move it over to the side. And now you're going to have these two little green measurement bars that pop up. You're going to put that over a distance. If I knew what this distance, 12 feet or whatever it is, I typically, especially on this for quick and dirty, I'll use a doorway. Just set that to 3 feet, scale it, and there you go. And now it's scaled per the Google Maps, and you can see this is same floor plan. It's pretty close to where I was. So if you know an exact sort of dimension of one of these, so yeah, I could put this in at 9 foot 4 inches, or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a 21. That could be a 19. That's why I normally don't use any of the dimensions that are on there. They're just a little bit too low res for me to see exactly what they are. It looks like here I could probably use like 5 feet for the hallways. I typically just use 3 feet for a doorway, and then that auto scales for the Google Maps layout. So everything else is scaled per Google. So we also offer something we added a little while ago is this measurement tool. So you can actually lay out a measurement and see what what distance you may have. And again, that's similar to the tool that we have in the floor plan, where you can see how far a distance is across a building, etc. Good questions. Thank you, Mike. Make it an SVG file. Yep, that's something that we do not support SVG for import export yet. We've looked at or talked about internally supporting DWG files for make it an SVG. Yes, actually the IDF icon is, and all of our camera icons, etc., are SVG files. So it's something we can do. It's just a matter of, from a UX standpoint, making it easy to resize without making it too much more complex. So yeah, I mean, certainly we understand the aspect of wanting, more control and the ability to make, things smaller or the size we want them, etc. But even if you look at here, if we zoom, pretty far in, it certainly gets small as you zoom in further and further. Just maybe if you're zoomed out a little bit farther on the map, then yes, it can look a little bit sized a little bit large. So, but good feedback, Bob. I appreciate it. Jesse mentions our project manager has been using it, gotten good feedback. He's wanted to use it similarly for access control systems. Sean, is this? We'll talk about that in a second, Jesse. Sean, is this webinar being recorded so I can review it later? I got a call you to take. Absolutely. We are recording this and it should be posted later. I'm not sure, Kian, where and when. We don't always post these webinars, but I believe we would. Oh, there we go. So it'll be uploaded to YouTube likely. So good. All right. So related to the request for access control. So doing this network cabling was a big intermediate step for us to getting to add in access control to the calculator. And so the next major step and major update we are going to have for the calculator is going to be access control for sure. In the meantime, what we are looking at is taking this cabling aspect and just expanding it just a little bit, giving a little bit more functionality with maybe not the full step all the way to full-blown access control. I'm going to jump into our sort of staging developmental platform. And so this is what we have here, similar project, same location. We've got our cabling network closet. We've got our camera. We're connected. We're good to go. Now we have another device here. And this came from a request of a user. They asked, well, can I just have a generic device that, I can have cable path and connections to? And, some of the thought processes, maybe I know that I'm pulling cable to this corner of the building, and I'm going to put a camera on this driveway. And I can't afford, or my customer can't afford to add in 3 more cameras that they need on the corner here. But they know I'm going to need a drop there. And maybe I'll swap it out. I'll put a multi-imager camera in there at some point, whatever. And so now we're going to be adding an additional feature called a generic device or a general device. The name is still in flux a little bit. And again, this is just in testing development at this standpoint. Let me see if I can even log in to make this work. Last time I tried, it caused problems. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to show putting a new one on. But you can see here, we now have this general device. We're going to have some default sort of device icons that are available. One of them is just going to be a door controller. So it's not going to be a full device like a camera is, where we have specific models and all the specifications and in the field of view and the capabilities. And if it's NDAA and if it's end of life and all of those things that are, a big differentiator for the camera calculator, we're not going to have those right off the bat for these generic devices. They're going to be just that. They're going to be some general devices that are sort of the intermediary between once we get to the point where we have a full-blown access control option. So you'll be able to lay out your door locations, but you're not going to be able to say it's this type of Mercury controller, or it's this access door controller, or what have you. Bob mentions the wireless access point is nice. We're not going to support right now. It's a Cisco whatever access point. It's a Meraki, M15 access point. It's an Aruba AP320, what have you. And so they're general devices. They're not the end game in most cases, but they're that intermediary step to where we will then get to the more complex, full sort of IPVM experience to the design system, similar to what we offer with cameras. Will we get to the point where we have specific wireless access models? I mean, maybe not. There's a lot of programs out there that do wireless network, channel planning and, path loss, etc. Systems like Akahau, where, right now we're not close to be able to, define the walls and what the materials are and what the ceiling heights and all that stuff are. We're definitely not close to that point for things definitely broader outside of the surveillance and security world, but certainly for things like access control, intercoms, motion detectors. Those are all things that we see in the more near future that we will have a kind of full blown accurate systems design capabilities for. So, yep, just a quick preview in what we're working on there. This should be released relatively shortly. We're just working through some more specific details on how it's going to operate and what some of the naming and user interface conventions are going to be, because it does sort of fall a little bit outside of what has historically been for the calculator, which is very specific designs, whereas in this case we're looking at more, the name suggests, more general or generic devices. So any other questions in chat? Otherwise, I appreciate everyone's time and feedback. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. It's Sean@ipvm.com. Boom. So if you have any questions, you have any feedback, issues, etc., you can reach out to me. I am the product manager for the camera calculator, and you can also always email support@ipvm.com as well. So again, if you have any questions, want information, if you want some more training on the calculator, if you'd like a deeper dive into some of the other calculator features we didn't certainly didn't hit on everything. We didn't really touch walls because we've got presentations and recording and details on things like that already. So yeah, if you want more follow-up, then definitely reach out to us. We are available to take a look at any sort of feedback, features, etc. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bob. I'll stick around to answer any additional questions for a few more minutes, but otherwise, that's about it. We're not going to take up any more extra time for anyone, and yeah, we're going to end a little bit early. So this will be posted likely to YouTube and a link to the original webinar registration page. You'd probably be able to find the video there as well. Thank you, everyone. There's no more questions, and we are going to shut this down. I'm going to stop recording, and but I will stick around for a little bit if anyone has any last minute follow-up. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Jesse, Bob, Jose, appreciate it. Jan or Jan, thank you for your earlier questions. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, thanks for joining everyone from the IPVM team.